Perfect. So, what's up, everybody? As you all know, I love to bring in life insurance agents and agency owners that are actively working with us and are working in our lead marketing systems and, share their experience and their expertise, tips, tricks, things that they're doing good, bad, indifferent about working with us. Today, I have a brother who really, honestly, we got connected through another close friend. He was in our network and wanted to really start leveraging his time a little bit more and running a variety of different lead types from, new to aged. And I've watched this gentleman blossom not only necessarily from working different lead types, but also from a sales skill set ability and being able to take leads and, position and put them in different products based on their needs. So I really wanted to bring him on here. Top producer, an individual that knows how to work leads properly, but also can kind of speak to his experience. So I'd like to welcome my brother here to the stage, man. Thank you so much for taking some time to hop on with us.
Sure, Trey. Thanks for having me. Good to see you always.
Of course, of course, of course. So yeah, man, let's start from the very, very beginning. Before you met me, you met Agent Lead Lab. Can you give a quick 30-second to a minute long synopsis of like, your experience, where you came from, etc., to kind of warm people up to them knowing who you are?
Absolutely. So this is my second career, and first career I was an engineer. That was totally different field. Got into insurance because I didn't want other people to have control of my future. I just kind of take one more control in my hands. Started in the did mortgage protection for a while in the field, and then I did final expenses for many years in the field. So that was my background. So I was transitioning into telesales and virtual sales, and that's when I started looking into these systems that we're going to talk about today.
Got you. Got you. Okay, cool. Cool. And for the people, can you speak to, before we even get into working our leads,
Sure.
your experience? I think this is really important for people to know the difference between a mortgage protection and final expense
Hmm.
clientele. Let's not even talk about leads first. Let's just talk about psychologically from what is your feedback for an agent that's like, hey, I've heard a lot about mortgage protection. I'm used to working final expense, or vice versa. Can you speak to that for an agent?
Absolutely. The final expense clientele versus the mortgage protection. So, final expense generally are folks on a very fixed income, generally folks with very challenging health conditions that you have to figure out a way to cover those challenges. They are generally speaking people who like to leave things for later. And also every dollar's accounted, spoken for, are a large percentage of them. You'll find some with money and things like that, but for the most part, those are the folks. They really need help. They generally care about their people, the ones who actually move forward. And the mortgage protection generally more healthy, not necessarily younger. Some are younger, but the younger ones, you're able to help them. And even the older one, even if you do end up working, helping them with a final expense product, it's going to be different. And the main difference would be retention. So the
Okay.
final expense clients they fall off at a higher rate, let's put it that way. Any given month, they don't pay, they change bank accounts, they don't tell you. If you don't have a proper drafting setup that's going to draft exactly when they get paid, come back the next day, the money's already gone many times. That happens less in the mortgage protection realm. That's very, very big distinction between those two groups.
Got you. And I appreciate you for sharing that with agents because it's a question that we often get asked frequently, the
Mhm.
biggest difference and which direction should I go in?
Right.
Which, you had before we even met, you had kind of already understood what that was required. So let's
Right.
fast forward to
Sorry, actually, I do want to add a little bit, thinking of it, because I don't want to make it sound like, oh, okay, the mortgage protection is the way. In the pro side for the final expense, I'm going to add that usually it is one call close. Usually you're going to know immediately. That's one. Usually it's a one call close. Two, the final expense products pay a higher commission to the agent. And three, the final expense will pay you faster. You're going to see the money in the bank usually within a couple of days with those products, depending on the company. But with the mortgage protection, you may have to go fully underwritten to stay competitive. It's a lot more competitive. Many of them are highly educated in insurance products. So I do often see myself going fully underwritten, which can take a couple of weeks, pay a couple of months sometimes. We try to go simplified issue if possible, if viable. But a lot of the times we go fully underwritten, they may require medical exam, APSs, attending physician statements. So that delays the process. That's the sort of balance, the pros and cons on each side.
no, I thank you for interrupting me. I appreciate you because that's super, super important. Pivoting me to my next question for you. The first time we met, first
Mhm,
thing that you paid for when you worked with us was our age leads. You've worked our age mortgage protection leads. Can you speak to
mhm,
an agent? They've bought 100 Agent Lead Lab age mortgage protection leads. Give me their expectations, how many sales you
mhm.
think they can make, and kind of like some tips and tricks for that agent that is working those.
Absolutely. So I'll give you my actual journey. So I started aged leads and I started dialing them one by one. And that was exhausting. So exhausting. I wasn't catching the people, dialing, and couldn't get them. When using a dialer, though, something, especially using local numbers, something that it changes. And I've used two of them so far. One of them was recommended by you, Trey. I appreciate it. Currently in the trial of that one, and I'm
Mhm.
liking it. So if you're using a power dialer, something that dials three, four at a time and changes the number to a local number, wherever they may be located or something similar to their phone number, they're a lot more likely to pick up. So when I used the power dialer, there I was able to find some business at that point. But doing it one by one, that can be very time consuming, and then you might just get frustrated and not keep calling them. So I do recommend if you buy aged leads to use some kind of system to dial three, four, 10 at a time, or be ready to dial a lot. This is going to be a lot. It's a lot of numbers. But what I do like is you get a lot more at bats for the money. You get a lot more at bats, a lot more opportunity to speak to people that may have, even though they requested it some time ago, several months ago, they can still be fresh to you. You just I treat them basically the same. They're like, oh, but I don't remember oh yeah, it was a little while back, but that's why I'm following up with you, checking in with you, because we don't see a record that you were taking care of, that you were able to protect that mortgage. But then we move forward that way.
Speak to your phone script. You don't have to go through it, but can you kind of
Mhm.
speak the mindset? You kind of talked about it briefly of working those age leads when you get them on the phone.
Oh, yes. First thing is understanding what is your goal. When we ask ourselves that question, the first instinct is to say, oh, an application, an approval. That's what I want, right? But the application is the bigger, that's like the third or fourth goal in the process. We have to think about it in micro steps because we're just getting an inch closer to getting to that application, to getting to that approval. So the first thing is to keep them on the phone, sounding very casual. It's like, hey, Trey,
Yep.
yeah. And then they're super curious. They're like, who is this guy? They're like, oh, Trey, this is Ralph. Just getting back to you about your request for them, and then get into it and try to find out. Once you got their interest, they're in the conversation with you, then we can actually progress. So we get there, then we get to their why. Try to get to that early in the conversation. So what was it that moved you to request this information? Oh, my family, this and that. So if we can extract the reason, the actual reason, the emotional trigger for them, requested that in the first place, then yeah, then we can get somewhere. And then we progress and so on, get their information, start asking questions, health questions early on, so we don't start offering things for which they don't qualify, and proceed from there. Finally, then we can get closer and closer to the application. We get it done.
Thank you for sharing that. I want to point out one thing for the listeners that he mentioned was the steps. I think specifically with aged leads, you try to treat them, a lot of agents try to treat them like they're fresh, where it's going to immediately click into their mind that they filled it out 30 days ago. But if I asked anybody that's watching this video, what did you eat 2 days ago? You probably have an answer, let
Exactly.
alone something you clicked on and saw, you're 52 years old, you were leaving work or whatever, so it's not that they're not interested. You need to understand how to paint the picture. And I appreciate you for elaborating and being able to explain that. If an agent gets 100 of those aged leads, how many do you think that they could sell? If they were like, hey, I just started working with Agent Lead Lab, I got 100 of these aged more
Mm.
protection, how many do you think they could sell realistically?
Goodness, Trey. I really wish I had my numbers for that, because my thing is, since I have them all in the same system now, I'm not even sure which one came from the age and which one came from the new at times.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a smaller percentage. I don't dare give numbers, but it's going to be a smaller amount than if you do the fresh leads. Those are a lot more fresh. They remember filling it out. They are the way I calculate it in my head is whatever I'm expecting in my ad spend, I just kind of expect that equally. So if I spend 1,000 on aged leads, I should expect to close and make about as much as I would if I had fresh leads.
Okay.
But I would have to do a lot more work. I have to call a lot more people for it. That's the way I view it. I don't have the exact number, so I don't want to mislead and give
No,
false
no, you're
numbers. But
fine.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
fine. You're fine. I appreciate you for being transparent and wanting to really give them real
Mhm.
numbers and not spitballing it. With that being said, now let's transition into the newer mortgage leads. Can you do the same thing you just did?
Oof.
Expectations, mindset, your experience. You've been working those for really 5 straight months too, so you could probably
Oh
speak.
yes. See, those I'm a massive fan of them. I didn't want to use the L word. I love them though. I do. I really like them a lot. Those are great leads, and not because I'm talking to Trey here, but these folks know what it's about. They actually do for the most part. They know what we're calling about. They know what we're dealing with. They may not want to talk to you at times. It's not like they're all just going to be lay downs. Obviously not. It's going to be 20 applications per batch. That's not realistic. You're still, talking about 10, 20%, they're going to take something, move forward with the application. But the main thing is to what has the weeks that I've seen better results versus not as great is when I don't attack the lead early. So we have to kind of go for them immediately when they come in. Whether I have a system that texts them, but when that system was down, it was not texting them on time, I noticed a dip in my production. So I started, oh my goodness, I got to do it manually then. I got to figure it out. So we have to have a system to touch them immediately after they submitted the request. So it's still fresh in their mind. So whether it's a phone call, even if you call them just a 30-second phone call to make an appointment, which really, that's all it takes. Hey, Trey, yeah, I just got your request. I'm busy right now. I can't talk, but I definitely don't want to think that I forgot about you. I still have some room tomorrow, though, at 10 and maybe something in the afternoon, which is better for you. Oh, 10. Okay. So we set it up and follow up at that time and proceed with the application. That leads me to another point you didn't ask about, but just following my thought, little lessons learned from this process that I like one call closes, but I've noticed a higher close rate when they show up to an appointment, in my experience. So basically, they're more likely, because when I call them on the first call, they kind of feel like we're doing so much in this very first call. It's the first time we ever speak. But if I speak with them, set an appointment, I do try to extract some information so I'm better prepared for the appointment. That's on the mortgage protection side. On the final expense, definitely don't try to call them again. Do it then. It is now or never with final expense. there's no second chance. Very rare second chance. May as well burn it. But yeah, for the FE, for the mortgage protection, I do find good results when I speak with them, do sort of a quick fact finder, and then complete the conversation on the next meeting. Also a higher close rate on the Zoom if you're able to get them on a face-to-face, kind of like how we're here now. The experience is very similar to that of sitting at their kitchen table. Very high close. And that's what, yeah. So I just want to share that. That's been my experience. Definitely try it out. Try your systems. I do love those follow-ups when they actually show.
Yeah. Can you speak to taking a mortgage lead and closing them on an IUL?
That's probably, no, you're speaking my love language, Trey. What's going on? This is one of my favorite things to do because the IUL is such a versatile product and the underwriting is essentially the same as it would be for a term policy or a term with return of premium. Very similar underwriting. If they qualify for that, they can qualify for an IUL more likely than not. You just got to choose the right company for it. And I love it because we are providing higher value to the client by doing this. It's just a deeper conversation. We got to find out more things about them. We got to find out their goals. Are they just trying to get the money back and a little bit more, or are they trying to really fund their retirement with tax-free income? Those are conversations that open up, and they also open for annuities. I actually got one annuity out of them as well. I didn't report that one, but yes, it was an annuity. Yes. So it opens up opportunities for more services, which we can serve them and their futures. Yes. So the IUL, fantastic tool for mortgage protection.
How are you getting into those conversations for an agent that's like, how do I transition it? Hey, because here's the thing I get. Well, all these people get on the call with me and all they want to cover their whole house or nothing, or they want this or they want. How do you get into those conversations?
Asking questions. That's the simple answer to your question. So asking questions that lead us into that. Questions such as, do you have anything else that works as life insurance, like to leave for your family? You have savings, things like that. The 401k. You have any old 401k? Okay. Is that Roth or traditional? And do you have anything to retire tax-free? Any tax-free income within your retirement plan? So those types of questions that open up more conversations that lead us to an IUL. And also most importantly, do you find it valuable? Do you find value in something like that? Do you think it's important to have some money to come in tax-free when you retire? So we find out what's important to them, and that opens up opportunities for the IUL and even annuities conversation. Yes, it's asking that type of question. And also finding out that it matters to them. They say, and also their budget. Because if they only have $100 to work with, we're going to talk term or something, we're not going to talk IUL. in that instance. You have to serve them, meet them where they are.
For an agent that likes writing IULs, would you suggest that they go with a traditional IUL lead or go with a mortgage protection lead because of the flexibility that you have?
Great question. Because I haven't, well, not because. The reason I have not tried the IUL leads is because, from what I've gathered, I'll speak to that from a position of partial ignorance because I haven't worked the IUL leads. I might try some out. But from the mortgage protection, we can find the IUL prospects that are there. Now, from the IUL perspective, what I'm thinking is, and from speaking to other people who've tried it, they already have their heads in that IUL. They're already thinking IUL, these folks, and they may not qualify for an IUL. They may end up being a final expense client for the purposes of a solution, or a term client because there's no budget in it. So that's what I've heard from. So yes, what I've done is work the mortgage protection. I may try the IULs, but I'm hearing that the mortgage protections are quite effective, and I know of people who are doing way better than I'm doing with the mortgage protection leads, and I'm trying to learn from these people as well. But yeah, definitely a lot of opportunities for IULs in the mortgage protection leads.
Gotcha, gotcha. And I only ask, I appreciate you being transparent. That's the question I get asked all the time. Hey, I
Mm-hmm.
work IULs, and I speak to the same thing. Clients come in that see IUL advertising. The intent is at an absolute high. They know exactly what it is. There's no confusion. It's probably even higher than
Right.
mortgage protection, right? They're ready to
Sure.
talk about it, but when they can't get it for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
you've essentially kind of extracted everything out of the lead because that was the whole purpose of them filling out whatever they saw in
Mm.
the ad. Now you're
Right.
feels like you're almost backdooring them into something else, even though you're not. But
Mm-hmm.
they were already framed before they even got on the call with you what they wanted. Now you're telling
Right.
them they can't have it, but they can have this, and it doesn't have all those
Mm-hmm.
benefits for the thing that they wanted. Versus from a
Right.
mortgage protection standpoint, we just call it life insurance that protects your assets. We keep it very general. Then when you get on the phone as the expert, you can position them into whatever works and say something like, hey, this IUL plan will not only have X, Y, X, Y, X, Y, X, Y, Z, it will also have
Mm-hmm.
the ability to cover your mortgage. Now it feels almost like an upsell without it being an upsell, and they
Right.
didn't know about it. It positions you as the authority figure, right? Increases your authority
Mm-hmm.
with them. Their trust is now gained because it doesn't feel like you're trying to backdoor them. You're actually trying to put them in a better position for a rate that's probably either the same or maybe even potentially a little bit less. And that's kind of always been our thought process. That's what we have seen. Not to say the IUL leads aren't great. It really just depends on the type of person that you are. I would say
Oh yeah. To
we
downgrade them from an IUL vision that they have in their head, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, we're basically downgrading them. Oh
yeah,
man, all I can get you is this final expense, or like, oh man,
yeah, I
yeah,
don't
sort
want
of
that.
disappointing. Yeah, yeah, makes sense.
So
I still want to give them a shot, but
yeah.
at least try a couple batches because yes, it might be interesting. But I definitely see the logic in that.
Right. Last thing, and the floor is yours. Is there anything you want to say to a client that just starts working with us in the team? Just speak to
Hmm.
anything. It could be about customer service, communicating with Faith, the team, myself, the leads. The floor is really yours. And also in that, not to make it too loaded, but
Hmm.
if you could just talk about the pros and the cons of working with us, like kind of give them everything from like, hey, here's all the things you can expect that'd be good. Here's kind of some of the things that, I would want to have improved or we're still working on, etc. The floor is yours.
Absolutely. Let's see. So the first thing is to set your expectations properly. These
Okay.
people are interested in. So working with Trey and the team. Let me give you some flowers. First of all, like the communication's been fantastic. The team they communicate by text. They communicate through the Discord. They are emailing, calls. Everything is so far. I've never felt like I'm being ignored or they already have my business. What do they, no, they you guys really work with us. And I appreciate it. And your team, fantastic. The ladies are great. And wow, just very good customer service. From a user perspective, once you have the leads in hand, is that we got to remember these are still to be worked. We get paid very well for doing what we do because not everybody can do it. It's a skill you really have to acquire. You really have to follow, check on the leads, call, text, check in, and they're not just going to land on your laps. Yes, you have a lay down here and there. Every batch might have like one lay down, but the rest of them you have to work. And yeah, don't stop and don't let go of the leads until they tell you to stop. Like they just because they say, "Oh man, I can't talk right." Okay, they're being dismissive. Sure, whatever, that's fine. You may have caught them in a bad day or bad moment, but you
Mhm.
keep up with them. Let the system, if you have, well, I guess I'll say this: I would advise that you also get a system of follow up that you don't have to do everything manually. Some kind of automated system like what I have in place. It's very helpful because I work different time zones and the leads may come in at a time that's not convenient for me. And yeah, so working them that way is very good. You just got to keep working them. Just work the leads, check in with them, change the phone numbers. If they're not picking up with one phone number, change to a local number. Use that type of tool to increase your chance of speaking with somebody. And then once you got the person in front of you, meet them where they are. Ask them the question. Don't come in with your own agenda. Ask the questions that open up the conversation so they can tell you the things that you need to know to help them. So that is my advice. Those are the things that have helped me. And
Mhm.
finally, and I mentioned it earlier, but I'll say it again. That's how important it is. Reach out to them quickly, text them quickly, call them quickly, especially the fresh leads. Call them as soon as you get them. Quick text message, automated or live. Get in touch with them quickly. Work them. They're there. They ask for it. They ask for the information. There is a level of interest. Now it's your turn to be engaging and keep them and help them. Help them solve the problem that they're letting you know that they have.
Gotcha. Well, thank you, brother,
All
for
right.
taking some time to help
Of
numerous
course.
students that are going to be watching this. And as always, guys, if you guys are watching this, you can go on the website, fill out a form, message me on Instagram, or hit somebody up on our team. They'll be able to help you out. So without further ado, I appreciate you, brother. And everybody else, you guys have a great rest of the day, and we will talk to you soon.
Pleasure, Trey.